Hello and welcome to alltalk, the Geekbox Forums community podcast. On this week's episode, we talk about co-op games, Veronica Mars, the TV show, and our plans to watch Netflix's upcoming original series Lilyhammer. Okay, welcome to our discussion about co-op games. We play a lot of co-op games while we talk in the Mumble, and so we're going to discuss a bunch of things about them, some of our favorite co-op games, and other things like, do you prefer co-op games over single-player games, and do you play co-op games for the experience of the game or for the company of the people? I am forum user Dakazu, and with me are the following.
Mr. X.
Rodney.
And Totoro.
So, we play a lot of co-op games in Mumble.
We do.
Well,
True.
and Steam.
Well, yeah. But mostly in Mumble because Mumble offers better voice chat than Steam.
We started using Mumble because, what game? Left 4 Dead.
No, it was Borderlands, because Borderlands sounded terrible.
Oh, that's right.
When we got to the point where when we played, Left 4 Dead 2 on the now defunct Left 4 Dead 2 official Geekbox server, it was just it didn't work as well.
There's something wrong with that audio. Like, it was like the game audio was way too loud and you couldn't hear, like, the voice over IP.
Plus, we didn't like that you couldn't talk during the load screens.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best part about Mumble.
It is pretty good. Also, the awesome voice quality. That's really good.
Yep.
But let's talk about some of the games that we like right now. I think the main one is Dungeon Defenders.
That is so good.
Very, very fun.
I
I
think once you get to the end game, it's kind of, that's it for me.
But you didn't start doing any of the endgame stuff yet, like getting all of the loot and then doing the nightmare and all that stuff.
And getting all the mythical gear, like the actual high-end
It gets so
stuff.
difficult.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah, you're at endgame. You're at the point now where everything is super hard, but you need to grind to hit max level so that you can get the loot, so that I think everything becomes easy again. You're at the start of the endgame. You're not at the end of the endgame.
Right.
It is probably the most fun tower defense game I've played.
Yeah, let's describe what this game is first. This is a co-op experience tower defense game. There's 4 different classes that you can play. Oh, I guess there's more classes now because of the DLC, but
they're primarily just reskins of the 4 base classes.
Well, plus the barbarian.
which is the new class.
And that is not a reskin. It's a completely separate class.
But basically, you're in like an area, and there are doorways where enemies come out of, and you set up towers. And then you can level them up. Different classes have different types of towers. You use them together as a team, and then you try to beat all the waves, and then you move on.
But what separates it from other tower defense games is that you can actually attack, and there's RPG elements, such as leveling up your character with its persistent leveling, and there's loot, and it's really good. And each character has special abilities, and it's just a great game.
Yeah, I guess the best way to describe it, at least in my mind, is kind of like Diablo meets League of Legends meets a tower defense game.
Yeah, basically the loot is the driving force of the game.
Yes, I just got a gun that is a spider that shoots out other spiders, and it is amazing.
I still haven't seen this.
It's creepy as hell. I hate spiders.
And I have a rainbow unicorn pet that hovers over my shoulder and shoots rainbows at enemies. It is very good.
Well, and the other, I know the first set of pets that we got were 3 of the characters from Team Fortress 2. And then we also got the portal gun from Portal.
Yes, we did. And
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you can set up a portal over a spike trap or a spike pit, and then another portal where the enemies are coming from, and they will just fall into the pit.
Is that how that works?
Yes.
Yep. You can also shoot through the portal, and your bullets will go through, assuming you're using a character with bullets.
But then the pets from Team Fortress 2 are the heavy who just kind of sits there and will start mowing stuff down. And then you've got the pyro that sets things on fire. And then you've got... Wait, so... Or no, there are four. There's four, I'm sorry. You've got the pyro who starts, burning everything, but obviously that won't work if any of the enemies have like fire resistance.
Yeah, some of the enemies have different resistances to different elements. So, like Totoro used the magician, and
yes,
that guy has different elemental towers. He has a fire tower, he has a lightning tower, but occasionally you'll see enemies that are immune to those things.
Yeah, and that makes it kind of a major pain in the butt. And then you have to either use something that doesn't have any elemental affiliation, or place the electric and the fire together. But there are only, if I recall correctly, 3 different type of elemental basic affiliations. You've got lightning, fire, and poison, and then non. It was the 4th, but most everything falls into one of those 4 categories.
But there are also things you can put down that will take away their immunity.
Right.
You have that magic barrier. I forget what it's called.
Yeah,
for the apprentice.
Magic blockade.
Yeah, and the elf, the ranger class, has a trap it will put down that will do the same thing.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep, and it also makes it so it says it will lose its target. I'm not even sure what that means.
I wonder if that's like some way for it to deal with aggro or something, like especially for the larger monsters like ogres and things.
Well, we played this game a lot, but I think that says something, because even though like we have a bunch of people who play as the elf, like most of the people do not tower spec. Like you could either end up like kind of min-maxing and you either go melee spec or tower spec. And most of the elf classes, the hunter class people end up going like melee spec.
Well, it does a lot of damage. The gun's the later level, and so that's really the smart thing to do. Really, the tower builds should be the monk and the apprentice.
Yeah, and the towers for the elf are kind of hard to use because all the other classes, once the tower goes up, they just attack automatically. The elf class has those traps that actually run out of charges. You have to recharge them.
Yeah, well, it has that instead of a health bar. So when you upgrade it, it goes back up and kind of works the same way. You just have to keep repairing it.
I think the Squire works pretty well either tower spec or melee.
Yes, it does. As we found out yesterday on that one challenge map we did, that in some cases the Squire's towers are better than the apprentices.
The Squire is basically the beginner class.
Which challenge map was that?
The raining goblins, the ones where they just start spawning all over the place, and we had to defend the crystal. And then we put up the I think it was called the slice and dice. We put up those just around the crystal, and then we were just taking them out super easy.
Yeah, I remember that was kind of on the... It's kind of like a mad scientist level, but it's essentially the level with the first boss fight in the game.
Yes, that is correct.
No, I found amazing about this game. We really love it on Mumble, and everyone on Mumble like has it, and like we all play together. But this game has not been mentioned in a lot of people's like game of the year discussions, or like just general game discussions.
Yeah, a lot of people just haven't played it. It's kind of baffling to me.
Yeah, I'm looking at Steam right now, and it says 65 hours played, and that's just since mid-December, or early December, maybe.
I'm at 85 hours played. I have played a lot of it.
It's only about $15.
Yeah, it's $14.99 on Steam, and then you can also play it on XBLA and PSN as well. And I'm pretty sure that there's actually also cross-platform play.
Well, it says there is, but it's supposed to come in an update, so it's not there yet. But it is also on Android and iOS, and I believe it is free on Android.
It is, yeah.
And there's always sales for the game, so you can, if you're patient, you can usually pick it up for about $3.
It's on the iPod or iPhone for $3, but it does not run that well. I tried the first couple levels and it runs basically fine, but you're not going to want to play that with 4 people.
What are you playing, or what are you using? What type of a device?
The 4th gen iPod Touch.
Okay,
so it's fairly recent.
Okay, I'm trying to remember if that's the one with the A4 in it or not.
It's the one just before the latest one.
Oh, so the one that came out with the iPhone 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you sure about that? I think that one was actually. I think the newest iPod Touch has the A4 chip, and I don't think they've
the newest
an A5.
One does, yes.
Right. So if the newest one does, then this is actually what you're talking about. It's like
it's basically
3GS.
The same. Minutia aside.
Right.
And that was the iPhone discussion.
I think it's not cross-platform yet, because really the experience is going to be pretty varied.
Yes,
right.
But they did advertise that in all the trailers upcoming leading up to the game. So when they didn't have it, a lot of people were upset. Like, I know Kenzo on the forums, he bought it for PS3 expecting cross-platform play, and he didn't get it.
Was kind of false advertising.
Another thing to bring up is that the console version of the game has none of the updates that the PC version has. I mean, it has.
Is that true?
It has the DLC campaign add-on, but nothing else. None of the challenges or nightmare mode or anything like that has been added.
Or the new classes?
Yeah, and they have said that it is not coming to the consoles.
That seems like what Valve did with like Left 4 Dead
Or Team Fortress 2. Like, Team Fortress 2 on PC is a completely different game than on consoles. So it's just like that.
Have you ever played it on console?
I have not.
I don't know that I'd want to.
It's like going back in time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's for me. There are certain types of games that I don't mind playing on PC, but there are certain kinds of games that I only want to play on PC.
But, before we started playing Dungeon Defenders, we were playing Borderlands a lot.
Borderlands.
I was just playing that.
You were. And that game actually shares some elements with Dungeon Defenders that keep you playing. Like, it's all about the loot.
Yep.
Yeah, I know we ran through the first playthrough really quickly. It seemed like we only did it over the course of a week.
When did we start? Were we playing that last year around March when the Game of the Year edition was like on Steam sale or something? I remember I bought a lot of copies for a lot of people.
I wanted to say it was like midsummer.
Yeah, I want to say summer.
Okay, so it wasn't March. It was more like May. Okay. But yeah, I played the crap out of that game when it came out on Xbox, and I was really surprised to hear a bunch of you had not played it or had not played it co-op, which is definitely the way to play this game.
Yeah, I had got it on 360 a couple months after it came out. I played it a few times online with Liquid, but he was so drunk that it was unplayable pretty much.
Well, I remember hearing that talked about a lot when people were talking about like Game of the Year discussions, and I actually remember getting it for my brother-in-law on 360 for I think Christmas of 2010 or something.
Yeah, but as fun as that game is co-op, can you imagine playing it by yourself single player?
No, not really. I mean, the story is pretty unintelligible.
There's no point in playing that by yourself. It's really designed for co-op. Even the death mechanic is designed for co-op. Because when you go down, like, you're partially down and you have to kill something, or someone has to get you up. I mean, that's a co-op mechanic.
If you play it in single player, does it populate the game with bots?
No.
So you play by yourself?
Yep.
Yeah. When I played it by myself a couple times on 360, and it was just really boring.
But we had so much fun playing together.
It was great.
Yeah. I was late to the party. I played, I think when the Borderlands 2 was announced.
Yeah, that's one of my great disappointments is that when I went to PAX in 2011, PAX Prime, I found out after the fact that they, if you went to the Gearbox panel, evidently they gave away copies of Borderlands 2.
Oh, I want so bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
That's supposed to be coming out this year.
Yes, supposedly
I'm very
September
excited.
1st is the soft ship date of that, but I don't feel, and I'm thinking about it now. It's like, I don't feel so bad because I remember that not being a game that I'd played yet. So maybe it was even a little bit further into the end of summer, maybe the beginning of fall, because that would have been the last week of August that I went to PAX.
Right. But, I kind of think Borderlands 2 might get delayed till next year.
No.
Because Gearbox has 3 games that are supposed to come out this year. And do you think they can get them all out? And I think, and they're all supposed to have co-op.
What are they? Colonial Marines is one of them.
Colonial Marines, the Brothers in Arms, Furious 4, and Borderlands 2. It is Brothers in Arms, Furious 4, isn't it?
That is coming out this year?
I believe so, yes.
Huh.
I don't really care much for Brothers in Arms. I mean, they're okay games, but...
Well, this one looks different. It's like super over the top. And it looks kind of like Inglourious Bastards.
As fun as Borderlands is, I don't think I'd play it if other members of the community were not playing it.
Well, there is
Yes.
one thing that is missing. And that's killing Nazis.
Killing Nazis.
Well, let's get into them now. Then, yeah.
What,
would
killing
you play?
Nazis?
Do you play co-op games because you want to play the game, or like you enjoy the company of like the people?
Well, it depends on the game. I mean, there are some games where I will just want to play it because I like the game. And there's others that it would not be enjoyable, like, without playing with people.
Like
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Divine Cybermancy.
Yes.
That game
Yeah,
is so
Rodney.
French.
Why don't you
That
guys
game
talk
is
about
super
what
French.
happened?
Okay. Rodney made a game. I joined Rodney. There was a guy standing there by a door. Rodney killed the guy, and we couldn't leave the first room. The game explained nothing. Rodney shot the guy. He turned into 1,000 people, and then we couldn't leave.
How is I supposed to know this?
How,
It's French.
I thought that was something that all Canadians learned in school was French.
They don't speak French.
Will they speak something that's unintelligible?
The game's terrible.
Yeah, it's like if they ran, Maurice Chevalier, through a vocoder, that's what it sounded like.
Well, here's the thing. That game is horrible, right? And you guys are playing it for the Steam Holiday Achievement.
Yeah, that
thing.
was like over the course. I think we were playing that on like New Year's Eve.
But
Yeah,
then,
Yeah, something like that.
but
If
then,
we,
like 2 weeks ago, X and Rodney, you guys were playing that again. I was like, why are you doing this?
They're sadists.
we
It
had
was fun.
It was. I mean, we shouldn't have put it on the hardest difficulty, but it wasn't
Yeah.
terrible.
We were playing as Ghost, which is the hardest difficulty.
It was fun up until we had to fight enemies.
We made it to the base.
Yeah, and after we got to the first mission.
Well, I
And then we
remember.
died.
I remember Cananda joining in our game, and
Oh yes,
it was
the first time we were all playing. Yes, that was great.
So I think that was, okay. So the first time Rodney shot the guy, the second time I shot the guy just to kind of troll everyone a little bit more. And then the third time Rodney shot the guy again, and that was the time that Ko was in the game with us. Ko started freaking out.
He was
He's
very
like, "What
upset.
did you do? Why did you do that?" It was
Yeah,
kind of funny.
he was just screaming over and over. It was great. So even though the game is bad, the co-op actually made the game super enjoyable.
Only because we broke the game.
Yes. But as for games that I would just want to play, that would be something like Resident Evil 5 because I like the Resident Evil games. But I wouldn't really want to play that game by myself because it was designed around co-op. That would also go for something like Left 4 Dead, which can be played single player but is designed for co-op.
Yeah, why would you play Left 4 Dead single player ever? Like, seriously. As good as the bots are, no.
There's absolutely no reason to play that game by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game is built around getting 4 friends together or 3 friends together.
Yeah, it's a shared experience.
Yes. And
Though-
Resident Evil 5 is like that too. But
Resident Evil 5, I would
God.
still play regardless of if anyone was playing with me or not, just because I enjoy Resident Evil.
Yes, but the AI bot that follows you around by yourself is bad.
It wasn't that bad.
It was pretty bad.
I remember picking up Resident Evil 5, and to be honest, this was the first time I'd ever really played a Resident Evil game. And I was playing with a friend of mine. He had never really played any Resident Evil. So this was our first kind of introduction to Resident Evil. And we could not get through the first area. I don't know if it was just we didn't understand how the game was supposed to be played, or anything like that. But it was a brutal slog, and we just, tried. We were at it for, about an hour and a half, and just could not get through that first area.
Were you aiming for the head?
Yes.
Just a pro tip, aim for the head.
Did you change the control scheme? Because I forget if the default control scheme is the Western version.
The default control scheme is like Resident Evil 4, where you have to hold a button to aim, and then it's all on one stick instead of using two, like a normal game. But yeah, you switch the controls, and then it'll control like Gears of War or something. The only difference being you can't move and aim at the same time.
Now that's another game that I've never played is any of the Gears of War, and I've heard great things about those, especially being played co-op.
Yeah, Gears of War is great co-op, but I would also play those games single player, and I have done that, and they are great fun.
See, that's an example of a game for me that I'm not that interested in that game, but I wanted to play it with my friends, so I ended up getting Gears of War 2. And then after they were done playing, I never played that game again. So when Gears of War 3 came out, I made the smart choice and I rented it. I played through it with UX and Ransu, and then I returned it to the store. And I was like, I'm happy.
But, Gears 3 did have that awesome horde mode.
It was very fun, but it didn't. I knew it wasn't going to sustain me. That was
horde mode.
Like I said, that was the thing where it was fun because I was playing with you guys. Not necessarily because I enjoy the game that much.
Right. That horde mode is a little like Dungeon Defenders, sort of.
Without the gear?
Without the loot and the RPG elements. But
what about the tower defense?
Yes, there is definitely tower defense elements.
Okay, I was going to say, so if you didn't, say that there was something like that, I was going to say, so actually nothing like Dungeon Defenders at all, but, if there is actual tower defense in it.
Yeah, you can build up turrets and fences and all sorts of stuff, and you level up, and then you unlock new stuff.
That reminds me of Section 8 Prejudice.
Yes.
Halo.
That is your new co-op game that you guys have been playing. It's
basically like Dungeon Defenders. You build turrets, you build towers, and then you also go and play basically Halo.
And then you drop into the lava and die.
That was an accident.
No, I did that over and over again.
Section 8 does have the best spawning ever.
You drop out of orbit.
Super fast, and then you hit
like
the ground.
Iron Man.
It's just so good.
But if you're Totoro, you fall into the lava.
I think Rodney did that too.
I think I also went into the anti-air turrets.
That was a pain in the ass. I don't know how much I really like that mechanic.
Well, the anti-air stuff is only in the competitive. It's not in the co-op.
So, but you said that the main co-op, though, is different than the campaign, like the single-player campaign?
Yes, the co-op is just where you have to defend one little, node or whatever it's called in the game. And then they just send wave after wave of enemy at you until you hit, the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, and you can call in turrets and stuff, and they'll drop in from orbit, and it's all
VIPs
pretty awesome.
And stuff.
Yep.
See, that game is on sale this weekend. It's only $5, but I know I'm not gonna play it, so I decided not to get it.
I actually played through all of the single player. It's not terrible. It seems like a mod, like some fan-made mod.
It's pretty sparse.
It is, but the multiplayer in it is pretty fun. And does a lot of really unique things that are being stolen by Starhawk. Like the falling in from orbit and calling in your defense units and everything from orbit, and all that stuff is in Starhawk, and it's directly ripped from this.
Yeah, I noticed that when I booted up my PS3 today, that I had a message about the Starhawk beta because I either played or owned Uncharted 3, and I wasn't entirely sure what the deal with Starhawk was.
Yeah. So, what type of co-op do you guys prefer? Do you like it when it's through like a campaign, like story mode, or do you prefer when it's like little just side missions separate from the single player?
I can't speak for anyone else, but if I can derive the more or less the same storyline experience that you could get in the single player version of the game, if I can get that through playing multiplayer and experience that with someone else and have that be a shared experience, that would be my general preference.
Like there's the new Syndicate that is coming out soon. That just had a demo, and that game has a co-op mode that is separate from the single player. It is completely different. And that is, I believe that is the only multiplayer it has. And me and Rodney were playing that, and that was fun, but it didn't really explain anything that was going on.
It's kind of disappointing that it's not the main story campaign.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are certain types of, obviously gameplay types that doing the co-op multiplayer works for and lends itself well to, like thinking about the co-op multiplayer in something like Portal 2, whereas, Portal, the mainline story in Portal 2, that's a very, I couldn't see them inserting something like co-op multiplayer onto the main campaign of that.
Yeah, and it has a separate co-op campaign that is a campaign with its own story. And I love the co-op in Portal 2.
Going back to the Syndicate demo, though, I did enjoy my time with that.
Yeah, it was good, although I did have to breach you a few times.
Is that going to be like a regular priced $50, $60 game, or is it going to be...
Yeah, it's full price game, $60. Although it is EA, so their games usually have price drops relatively quickly. So if you hold off like a month or two, probably able to get it cheaper.
Did anyone play the original Syndicate?
I did. I remember nothing about it. I played it on the PS1, I believe.
Was
so I don't know
breaching?
if that... Maybe. It's been so long. I don't know.
This new game is all about the breaching.
It's like the Smurfs, where they say Smurf for everything, no matter the meaning. It's like I breached Rodney, and then I breached a grenade, and then I breached a computer, and then I breached a turret, and then I breached a fence.
And then you Smurf the Smurf.
But there's different contexts. Like breaching me means healing me, but you can also breach a grenade and defuse it.
And you can breach a turret to stop it from shooting you.
It's an interesting mechanic, but it doesn't make sense in some ways.
And then the turret can breach you.
They should have called it hacking or something. That would have made more sense. And also,
we had no idea what was going on.
Yes, it explained nothing. And apparently, we could have taken more, like, I guess it was called breaching apps, where we could have, like, boosted our attack damage and all that stuff.
Or shields.
But, yeah, well, we had shields, but you could have swapped it out for something else, but it didn't explain any of that. But it was fun. It was really hard, though. Like, super difficult.
Did we get to the end?
I think that was the end. We never finished it, though.
We got to the final boss, I think.
Yes. Later, Totoro and Dakazu will have to play with us.
Yeah, I just downloaded that and installed it this morning.
Yeah, I kind of want to play now.
I look forward to
breaching
you.
Yeah, I think we're getting there.
We might have to use Mumble to talk, because I forgot how bad the PS3 headset is.
And yes. I don't actually have a PS3 headset.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Well, we will, the four of us will go figure that out. Yeah, that was our co-op discussion. So, thanks for listening.
And now Mr. X tells us why Superman is stupid.
Look at his stupid costume. He looks like a 3-year-old got dressed in the dark. And now we talk about TV shows that were canceled too early. This week we talk about Veronica Mars. I am Mr. X, and with me is...
Dakazu.
Kevin EP3.
Totoro.
Okay, so Veronica Mars was pretty great, wasn't it?
Yep.
Fantastic.
Segment over.
So I'm the person here who has not seen Veronica Mars.
And that's a damn shame.
It's a crime against humanity, really.
Well, you guys have to sell me on this show. Like, what's the premise? What's going on? I know Kristen Bell is in it. Like, this is where she got her start.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's all you need to know.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. Lily is pretty great.
Oh, yeah, Lily is her best friend in high school, and she was played by Amanda Seyfried, however you pronounce her name.
Yeah.
But basically the premise of the show is that Kristen Bell plays this character, Veronica Mars, who is a high school student in this kind of really affluent area of California called Neptune, and her father was the sheriff of the county and then winds up getting recalled in an election, and now he is just a private investigator, and his daughter Veronica kind of is essentially just the secretary at his office, kind of as a part-time job, but she oversteps his bounds quite a bit and will sometimes actually just outright solve the case on her own.
Well, she picked up, like, all his tricks, too.
Right.
Yeah, basically, she was friends with all the richest people in town, and then a murder happened, and her father, the sheriff, was going after the parents of the girl who was killed, and no one liked that, so he was basically ousted.
Yeah, and then they kind of pinned it on someone who was, if I recall correctly, was just mentally unstable and not a prominent member of the community by any stretch.
So by sticking with her father, she lost all her friends,
Right.
which explains the opening theme song.
Yeah,
A long time ago, we used to be friends.
but I haven't thought of you lately at all.
That's a
Come
great
on,
opening.
sugar.
It's a great opening.
Bring it on now.
So basically, this is kind of like a detective series. Like, she's the detective.
Yeah.
Yes. I know it
Is it-
sounds kind of dumb when you talk about it, but it's really good.
Is it episodic? Like, you have an episode of the week, or is it
There-
a continuing story?
There is
A
an
little bit.
overarching story throughout the season, but every episode is pretty much standalone.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things is that, week to week, you could just drop in and watch a single episode, but, like X said, there is that kind of the season arc where she's trying to solve like a big mystery or something.
So what
Yeah.
specific things made the show like really good to you guys?
The writing, the characters, just everything.
Yeah, there was very little that was ever bad.
Is it very smart dialogue, like snappy, witty dialogue? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Her
you can tell
character
that.
is very, very witty.
It's Whedon-esque, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, Joss Whedon liked this show so much that he was even in an episode. Joss
That
Whedon
says a
being the creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly and Angel
Right.
and Dollhouse.
So what happened to the show? Like you said, like you guys said, it got canceled, right? So
Yeah, too little viewers.
It was one of the lowest rated shows on TV. Like,
Well, and it was-
it was on for 3 years. For 3 years running, it was like the lowest rated show.
But
Which-
critically acclaimed.
Yeah, and it just makes me lose faith in humanity.
But
was
it
on the
was
WB?
very good. UPN.
Started on UPN and then went to WB.
I went to
Or was-
CW when they came
CW,
by and
yeah,
then became
CW.
that. But it was very good. And then the third season, they tried to change it to what the network wanted, try to get more viewers, and they kind of, I don't want to say ruined it, but it was less good, I guess.
It was more teen drama the third season, I'd say.
It was
More than
more
the first
of
two.
what you would think a show called Veronica Mars would be based on the name.
Yeah, I expected it to be something about Mick Mars from Motley Crue, but that wasn't at all what it was.
So did you guys see that did you guys watch the show when it was on air?
No, I did not see it when it was on air.
I got into it between the second and third season.
I mean, I saw a couple episodes like here and there, but I wasn't really ever big into it when it was on.
So I watched the first season on DVD, and then the second season, and then the third I watched on air.
Yeah, and it looks like, the average weekly viewers were somewhere, in the mid 2 million. So like the pilot had 2.49 million viewers, and by the time the finale rolled around, they had 2.99, and they had only like 2, maybe 3 at the most episodes in that first season where they actually peaked above 3 million viewers for a single airing.
And that is ridiculous. Because that show, if ratings were based on quality, that would have been the highest rated show on TV that year.
I feel like it was on the wrong kind of network as well, because no one pays attention to UPN.
No, not really.
But it went to the WB, right? And then
Well, it went to CW.
Yeah, but that was the third season, and not many people will be like, oh, I'll just start watching it, it's on the third season.
This
No one
is
has
true.
really known about it,
Yeah, it was when I watched it on DVD the first season. It's a super addictive show. I mean, I watched that first season over 2 days. I watched all 20 something episodes.
Yeah, that's always one of those really good situations to where, if you get into something and you can watch a whole season over like a weekend, that's always the hallmark of a really good show.
I know, like another show that's based in high school and stuff like that.
It's based in high school, but it's not about high school, really. I mean, it kind of is. It's mostly about the cases. Like, there's a case of the week. And, I mean, one part of what's good about the writing is you think an episode will be going one way, and then it'll end up going in a completely different way that you never saw coming.
Yeah, there are a lot of little twists throughout the course of a case. Kind of, a lot of ins and outs, a lot of what have yous.
Can you guys give me like an example?
It's been a while since I watched.
Yeah. Let me think here.
The one with the teacher.
You're gonna have to narrow that down.
Yeah, which one?
Where the student was claiming that the teacher got her pregnant.
Oh, that one, yeah.
And it was Veronica hated the girl, and that was her favorite teacher.
Right, and so she immediately went to his defense.
And then it turned out, spoilers, obviously, for this episode, that the teacher did get her pregnant. So you didn't really see that coming because Veronica Mars is never wrong in the show up until that point. And that episode ended up being between Veronica and her father because her father was going against the teacher. And her father was right.
So do they constantly do stuff like they mix it up like that?
Well,
yeah, they mix it up. Not constantly.
Yeah, not constantly.
But it's always interesting how they do it.
Even on the ones where like what's gonna happen, it's still like how they get there is really good, really well done.
I would say it's not as formulaic as a show like Burn Notice, where every episode is pretty much exactly the same.
Totally GTA faction of the week.
Yeah, there's a lot. I want to say there's more than like Burn Notice, how the main story is only in like the very end of the episode. It plays a bigger role in this,
Right, yeah.
Like
totally.
with the flashbacks and all that.
Yeah, I mean, it does it better than any show really I can think of, where they have an overarching story and a case of the week. It's done way better than something like Burn Notice. The only other show I can think of would be Buffy. That comes close to this.
Well, so what happened after like the third season? Like it was canceled. Like, did they try to bring it back or anything?
Well, yeah, I know that Rob Thomas, the creator of the show, actually completely retooled the show to the point where Veronica was kind of a new recruit at the FBI, and they actually, and you can see it on the third season DVD, this whole spiel where she's going through being, new at the FBI.
Yeah, it was set a few years after season 3, which was set during her freshman year of college. And yeah, it sounded like it was going to be different. I haven't seen it myself.
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, the acting and all that was very similar to the past few seasons, but it definitely seemed like a new kind of take on it. But it still seemed to have that thing of the week, you know.
So this thing was produced and it's available to watch right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was on Netflix streaming. It might go up again, but it's not on there now.
Yeah, they probably lost a little deal with the CW or whoever produced it.
Warner Brothers owns it.
Yeah, Warner Brothers.
It's on. If you go to thewb.com, you can watch seasons 2 and 3, but the first season isn't up there, and I would not recommend starting with season 2. Season 2 is good, but I mean, it will spoil season 1, and season 1 is just amazing.
Well, yeah, I was going to watch some episodes before we talked about this, but they only had season 2, and you told me specifically to stop watching that because it would ruin whatever happened in season 1.
It would say
the finale would be ruined for season 1.
Well, that would basically ruin the entire overarching story of season 1 because it just in the previously on Veronica Mars part would ruin it.
So yeah, I think that we can all kind of just agree that, this is something that's, out there, it's on DVD, try and find the first season on, DVD, be it on Netflix or, what have you. And then just watch it if you can.
I mean, you could even probably find it used for like $10 or something.
Yeah, Amazon usually has it on sale. So yeah, everyone should definitely check it out. Check it out. Whatever.
So we're back, and in this segment we're going to be looking at an upcoming Netflix original series called Lilyhammer, and kind of just looking at what is going on with the show. It's the very first Netflix original series, and it stars Stephen Van Zandt. For those of you familiar with The Sopranos, he played Silvio Dante, and in this show he basically plays Silvio Dante, but he decides that he's going to turn state's evidence against his boss and go into witness protection. But instead of playing it smart and going someplace where it's nice and kind of cushy, like fucking Phoenix or something, he decides that he wants to go to Lillehammer, Norway, because he saw the 1994 Winter Olympics and thought that looked like, paradise. Then kind of, you can see in the trailer for the show, just look up Lilyhammer on YouTube, L-I-L-Y Hammer, or you can go to netflix.com and see the trailer. But, he basically finds out that, this is not at all what he, was thinking it was going to be, and ends up living like right next door to the chief of police. And finds out, he goes to, find a job. The only thing that they really have to offer him is the, being a pizza delivery officer, or not officer, a pizza delivery driver. And he decides that, no, this is not what I want to do. And actually just kind of looks like he's going to start kicking back up, what he was doing before when he was in the mob. But now, instead of in the States, he's going to be doing it in Norway. So I think we're gonna try and watch at least the first episode of this show. It starts on February the 6th, and from there, we may only watch one episode if it's really, really that bad, like it looks like it could be. That's going to be it. But we did want to at least invite everyone to watch it with us, and we'll probably talk about the first episode when it comes out, and next week we'll talk about that first episode then. But this may be a one-shot deal.
Yeah, basically, if you want to join in our conversation, we're gonna leave this definitely open to people who want to watch this with us, and then come on the podcast and talk with us about Lilyhammer as well.
And we may even work to restart the movie box as well. So that's something that you should definitely check on the forums for. And I think that we are going to try and make sure that most of the movies for any new movie box are, if we can, we want them to be on Netflix instant streaming, so as many people as possible can join in with us, and we're not really hamstrung by people having to track down DVDs, or it hasn't been released wherever. Things can be really difficult to find, given anywhere where you may be. And I think that's going to be our show for this week, so check back in with us next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Thanks to Rodney and Kevin EP3 and special guest Tumble for joining us this week. Next week we'll be talking about games, TV shows, and movies we're looking forward to in 2012, along with our thoughts on the Netflix Original Series Lilyhammer. If you'd like to participate in our podcast, send a PM to either Mr. X, Totoro, or me, Dakazu, at the Geekbox forums at forums.geekbox.net. We'd also like to ask you to come talk to us on the Geekbox official Mumble server. We'll be looking for topics for discussions for the podcast from the forum threads, so please make more threads. I love you.
I know. That.
Did you know that movie's on my list of shame?
The Goonies?
I have not seen it.
That is really unfortunate.
All I've seen is the part with the octopus.
The deleted scene that isn't actually in the movie?
That's all anyone will show me.
Jen didn't show you the toilet scene that I linked her to?
Oh, God. Yeah, Mikey was here.
I think I saw the truffle shuffle.
Truffle shuffle.
That was about it.
Do the truffle shuffle.
Something about pirates.
One-eyed
Captain
Willie.
Chunk.
Our time.
See, this is my dream, my wish, and I'm taking it back. I'm taking them all back.
That's all gone once we go up Troy's bucket.
Yeah, Battleship comes out this year.
Oh, God.
Is that an actual movie?
Yeah, based on the board game Battleship.
Movie stars and everything?
Yeah, directed by Peter Berg, who is a real Hollywood director.
Yeah, and it stars Alexander Skarsgård and
no, I don't want to talk about
Liam Neeson and Rihanna.
It's horrible.
What? Is that actually true?
It's totally true.
Liam Neeson is in this movie?
I really want to see it.
Whoa, Liam Neeson is in this?
Peter Berg is a pretty good director. He directed the Friday Night Lights movie. And Hancock. You don't like Hancock?
I wonder if they're going to play Battleship at any point in this movie.
I would.
There is an alien ship in it, and it looks like it shoots those pegs from the board game.
Does it have a grid?
I am going to send you guys a trailer so you can watch this trailer.
No, I'm cool.
By
the way, Rodney,
I will not watch this.
By the way, Rodney, you're
haven't seen
popping
the
just
trailer?
a little bit.
How can I fix this?
Turn down your amplification in your settings.
Settings.
Okay.
Okay, there's a link.
I'm not gonna click on that.
You haven't seen the trailer? It's the
I was gonna
movie
say I didn't
would better
get
be.
the.
Also, I
didn't get a
think you
link.
posted it to somewhere else.
There.
I'm still not gonna click on that.
It looks
Alright.
more like Aliens versus
Am I still
battleships.
Yeah, I know.
Popping,
so
popping.
I'm not gonna
No,
watch it
you're
again.
I think you're good.
It looks amazing. Do you have no sense of
Amazingly
irony?
bad. Oh man!
Is this the trailer?
Don't
It
click
is the
on
trailer.
that.
Well, it's amazing.
X wants to watch this and like it unironically.
Oh,
I can do both at the same time, like something ironically and unironically. It's called
Ads.
multitask liking.
multitask liking.
Yes.
You're starting to sound like Higgins.
What? No. He hates rednecks and hillbillies, and he
I
thinks
do
they're the